Ever since BTC hit a new all-time high, everyone has been wondering which large-cap altcoin will be the first to follow suit. Well, believe it or not, but it looks like the answer is Sol. Besides the fact that Sol has been surprisingly resilient over the last few months, Solana is on the brink of hitting major milestones that could cause another massive breakout. That's why today we're going to bring you up to speed on what Solana has been up to, analyze how high Sol could go, and examine which catalyst could be the one to take it there. So if you hold Sol, you can't miss this. I'll start by saying that nothing in this video is financial advice. It's purely educational content that's meant to inform you about Solana. I'll also note that many members of the Coin Bureau team, myself included, hold Sol as part of their crypto portfolios, but we will be objective in our analysis. With that said, it's only been about 4 months since we last covered Solana, so we're going to assume that most of you are pretty familiar with the project. If you're not, don't worry, we'll leave a link to our last Solana update in the description, along with a link to our in-depth article about Solana too. Now, shortly after our last Solana update, its Wormhole bridge announced that it had raised $225 million. If the name sounds familiar, that's because the Wormhole bridge was hacked for over $320 million in 2021. Jump Crypto, which owns the bridge, subsequently injected $320 million in order to keep it open. And if you're a member of the Coin Bureau Club, you'll know that we predicted that Wormhole would launch its own token in our Pith network review. Lo and behold, Wormhole subsequently revealed that it would be airdropping its W token to early adopters and developers. More details in the description. And speaking of Pith network, in December last year, the Solana Foundation said that the crypto oracle was experimenting with permissioned environments on its PithNet blockchain. For context, Pith network actually has its own blockchain called PithNet, which is basically a permissioned copy of Solana. More on that later. I hold Pith, by the way, just to be transparent. Now, another thing that happened in December was the initial wave of meme coin mania on Solana, which appears to have begun with the Bonk token. The subsequent airdrop of Bonk to holders of Solana's Saga phone resulted in the phones selling out and seems to have caused Solana's upcoming phones to sell out too. In between all the meme coin hype, there were 2 very significant Solana announcements. The first was that Circle had issued its Euro stablecoin natively on the Solana blockchain. For reference, Solana was once named as the official blockchain for Circle's USDC, though it's not clear if this is still the case. When you combine this with the news that New York regulators gave the green light to Paxos to issue its assets on Solana, it gives the impression that institutions see Solana as a serious alternative to Ethereum. This is surprising, though, given Solana's congestion and outage issues, but we'll come back to those in a second. Now, after the spot Bitcoin ETFs launched in January this year, there was lots of speculation about the possibility that Solana could someday see a spot ETF of its own. The speculation appears to have come from tweets posted by asset manager Franklin Templeton, who highlighted Solana's strengths on Twitter. However, Bloomberg ETF analyst James Seyfarth noted that a Solana ETF won't be coming, quote, not anytime even remotely soon. This makes sense considering that Solana is facing SEC scrutiny. For those unfamiliar, the SEC noted Sol as a security in its lawsuits against Binance and Coinbase last year. Even so, it's possible that Solana could someday get an ETF of its own. This likely depends on whether Sol lists on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, or CME, like BTC and ETH once did. It's believed that Sol will eventually list there, along with ADA, DOT, and many other large-cap altcoins. That's because the CME added pricing data for these cryptos way back in 2022. And by the way, if you're enjoying the video so far, be sure to smash that like button to give it a boost and subscribe to the channel and ping that notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Now, aside from the ETF speculation, Solana made the headlines in January because of the launch of so-called token extensions. These can be simply understood as new token standards on Solana designed for institutional adoption. To that end, they feature built-in compliance and privacy features. Unfortunately, though, this bullish news was overshadowed by the outage Solana experienced in early February. It was the first outage in almost a year. According to the Solana status website, Solana stopped working for over 4 hours. A post-mortem revealed the outage was due to a bug that was known to developers. This is more unfortunate than you might think because reliability is what institutional investors care about the most, at least according to a panel discussion at Solana's Breakpoint conference last year. Solana's outage therefore likely shook the confidence that some institutional investors have in the project. Fortunately, this didn't deter Abu Dhabi from partnering with Solana to work on blockchain solutions. It also didn't deter disgraced FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried from shilling Sol to his prison guards. FYI, Solana was FTX's de facto exchange chain, and FTX was one of the biggest investors in its ecosystem. And the bearish news for Solana continued earlier this month, with Binance announcing that it had temporarily suspended withdrawals due to congestion issues on the Solana blockchain. Any Coinbase users in the crowd will know that it also made similar announcements around that time. Obviously, these congestion issues were being caused by the meme coin craze on Solana, which went into overdrive a few weeks ago, so much so that meme coin pre-sales on Solana were raising hundreds of millions of dollars. Many compared these pre-sales to Ethereum's ICO hype during the 2017 bull market. What's not so obvious, however, are the technical reasons why this congestion was creating issues. Now, if we understand correctly, the congestion issues were fundamentally due to the maximum extractable value, or MEV function, offered by Solana clients, namely JITO, which ended the functionality earlier this month. For those unfamiliar, MEV essentially allows validators to rearrange transactions in order to maximize their profits. The practical effect of this is that transactions don't always go through, hence the exchange issues. What's interesting is that Solana validators appear to be upset about JITO's removal of MEV. This was revealed in a recent validator discussion posted to Solana's YouTube channel, which we'll leave in the description. The TLDR, however, is that some Solana validators are starting to use other kinds of software, or even build their own, to reintroduce the MEV function. This foreshadows more issues for the blockchain. For what it's worth, Franklin Templeton continues to be bullish on Solana, so much so that it published a research note for its clients, making the case that meme coins are an effective way of increasing user adoption. This highlights the possibility that these meme coin rallies are manufactured for that purpose. The proof appears to be in the pudding. Solana has reportedly overtaken Ethereum by DEX trading volume. Solana's former head of growth believes that Solana will soon outpace Ethereum in terms of consumer applications too, but that seems unlikely given that BlackRock recently launched a fund on Ethereum. And if you're wondering which of these two cryptos is better, you can check out our Solana versus Ethereum video using the link in the description. Now, all of Solana's updates, announcements, and developments have had a predictable effect on Sol's price action. As you can see, Sol experienced explosive growth a couple of weeks ago. On-chain analysis suggests this was related to the meme coin hype, as Solana saw a spike in users and transactions. And this is consistent with the number of downloads of the Phantom Wallet browser extension, which now stands at over 3 million. To put things into perspective, there were still only 2 million Phantom downloads 4 months ago. This suggests that Solana is experiencing exponential adoption. On-chain analysis also confirms that the number of Solana accounts has been rising exponentially and reveals that this growth is reaching levels not seen since the crypto bull market in 2021. So, this begs the question of what exactly all these new users are doing. Well, you already know the answer. Data from DappRadar reveals that Solana's Radium DEX has seen almost 1.3 million unique wallets over the last 30 days. Any meme coin degens will know that this is where most meme coins on Solana are trading. It should come as no surprise then that Radium is currently the 8th most popular dApp. What is surprising though is that the Magic Eden NFT marketplace isn't that far behind, with 300,000 unique wallets created over the last 30 days. This suggests that there's been a resurgence in Solana's NFT ecosystem too. This is confirmed by recent reports about Solana NFT sales hitting a milestone of $5 billion traded. This is more significant than you think because Sol is required to buy meme coins and NFTs. In other words, everyone who wants to speculate on Solana meme coins or NFTs has to buy Sol first. This buying pressure appears to have been the primary demand driver for Sol over the last few months. But that's just the demand side of the equation. On the supply side of the equation, archival data suggests that Sol's supply has increased by roughly 20 million over the last 4 months. So, if we assume an average price of $150 per Sol, this translates to as much as $3 billion of sell pressure. The fact that Sol's price almost hit an all-time high, despite all this sell pressure, suggests that the buying pressure was much more than $3 billion, or that the selling pressure wasn't that big, which is also possible. Regardless, it's eye-opening to see just how much money is being piled into meme coins. If you watched our video about when altcoin season will come, you'll know the meme coin hype appears to be due to the lack of new retail investors. This has likely incentivized crypto whales to focus their efforts on existing retail investors, most of whom are well versed in using DEXs, hence the meme coin hype. Whatever the case, Sol is looking incredibly bullish on multiple timeframes. On the weekly, it appears to be painting a bull flag that could take it above $300, but it's important to note that it faces a lot of resistance around these levels. The same is true when you zoom out to the monthly. Sol could break above this resistance though, because it looks even more bullish in BTC terms. To bring you up to speed, BTC pairs measure how strong an altcoin is relative to BTC. In Sol's case, it appears to be breaking out against BTC on the weekly and the monthly, foreshadowing a 35 to 45% gain, respectively. What this means is that if BTC's price stays roughly where it is, Sol could rally between 35 and 45%, bringing it close to that $300 mark. Given that the Bitcoin halving is just around the corner, it's likely that BTC's price will rally though. That means a 35 to 45% gain in Sol versus BTC would bring it above the $300 milestone. Now, if you want to trade this potential pump, then check out the Coin Bureau deals page. It's got trading fee discounts of up to 60% and sign-up bonuses of up to $60,000 on the best crypto exchanges. These are the biggest crypto exchange deals you can find, and they're only available to our viewers for a limited time. So be sure to take advantage of them using the link in the description before it's too late. Now, whether Sol can hit $300 or more ultimately depends on Solana's upcoming milestones. The Solana Foundation put out a de facto roadmap back in January, which included 4 milestones. The first was the release of token extensions, which you'll recall occurred shortly after in January. The second milestone is the launch of new validator clients, namely Firedancer. Without getting too technical, validator clients effectively make it possible for validators to interact with the blockchain. The Firedancer client will significantly increase Solana's speed, but it's not entirely clear by how much. Solana founder Anatoly Yakovenko noted in a December interview that Firedancer will be released by the next Breakpoint conference, which is scheduled for September this year. The fact that Anatoly had initially noted that it would be released in the first half of this year suggests it could be delayed. As a fun fact, Solana will officially be out of beta once Firedancer has been implemented. It's safe to say that the performance increase and this label change will be bullish for Sol. Come to think of it, it's possible that this could be the catalyst that takes Sol above $300 in the coming weeks. Now, the third milestone on Solana's de facto roadmap is unspecified institutional support. The milestone notes that enterprises now have access to all the tools they need to build on Solana. The fact that Solana's purpose is to be a decentralized Nasdaq suggests that tokenized real-world assets could be coming. The fourth milestone, meanwhile, is, quote, a mature building ecosystem and calls on Solana's developers to make use of all the tools to build products and services on Solana. The authors highlight GameFi, DAOs, permissioned products, infrastructure, payments, and interoperability as areas of focus. Now, an additional Solana milestone was mentioned by the Solana Foundation in a recent blog post, and that's an upcoming upgrade that should alleviate Solana's congestion issues. This upgrade is scheduled for mid-April, and it sounds like it could feature some sort of MEV functionality. And last but not least, Solana's governance forum suggests that it's going to be working on a new governance structure. A post from August last year notes that a governance structure would be introduced in the first quarter of this year, but it's not entirely clear if it has been developed yet. It's also a bit concerning that Solana appears to have an internal roadmap. In an interview earlier this year, it was revealed that Anatoly has an endgame roadmap which apparently exists as a Google Doc. We weren't able to find this document anywhere, possibly because, well, it hasn't been made public. And this ties into the challenges we foresee for Solana. The first challenge is regulation. In case you missed the news, the SEC is reportedly investigating entities in Ethereum's ecosystem. If the SEC launches an enforcement action against Ethereum, it's likely that Sol will crash under the assumption that Solana is next. In another December interview, Anatoly said that Solana is counting on US politicians to pass reasonable crypto regulations. Put differently, they're hoping that pro-crypto laws will be passed in the US so that Solana and the rest of the crypto industry are spared from the SEC's relentless wrath. This is a big ask, considering that US politicians appear to be preoccupied with much more pressing political and geopolitical issues. Even if they do somehow manage to pass reasonable crypto regulations, Solana could still face regulatory scrutiny because of Pith Network, specifically antitrust scrutiny. You see, Pith Network's data feeds are posted directly to the Solana blockchain and to the PithNet blockchain. In turn, the data feeds on the PithNet blockchain are then broadcast to other blockchains via the Wormhole bridge. Logically, this extra step means that there's a lag in those bridged data feeds. By contrast, the data feeds being fed directly to Solana by the Pith Oracle will have no lag whatsoever. Now, one could argue that this will give Solana an unfair advantage over all other smart contract cryptos. To be fair, though, this can be addressed by Pith Network feeding its data directly to other blockchains too. This relates to Solana's second challenge, and that's reliability. At some point, Solana's outages will push away all the institutions that the project has been trying to attract. Now, in theory, the Firedancer upgrade should make Solana more robust. In practice, it could lead to more technical issues. You'll remember that there seem to be emerging MEV issues among validators as well. If Solana continues to see more adoption and use, then the incentive for validators to find ways to extract more value will likewise increase. These ways could likewise lead to more technical issues and outages. Thankfully, though, it seems that these technical issues and outages haven't yet alienated Solana's users, or the users of any other blockchains for that matter. The catch is that Solana is unlikely to reach its full potential if it's limited to retail-related use cases. And it's unlikely that the meme coin craze will last forever either. This relates to Solana's third challenge, and that's sustainability. According to the Money Printer website, the Solana blockchain is generating $16 million of SOL staking rewards per day. You'll notice that this is the biggest daily issuance of any cryptocurrency, apart from Bitcoin, at $60 million worth of BTC per day. This means that Solana requires constant demand for Sol's price to stay where it is, and even more demand for it to rise. So far, we have yet to see a sustainable source of demand for Sol. As just noted, the speculative hype around meme coins won't last forever. Solana therefore needs a replacement ASAP. From our perspective, the only demand driver that could replace meme coin speculation is crypto payments, something that Solana has been hyper-focused on, and something that will only be possible once stablecoin regulations pass in the United States. With a bit of luck, they'll be passed sooner rather than later. In sum then, Sol is looking very good in the short term. In the medium term, the lack of sustainable demand drivers could result in a large correction. In the long term, meanwhile, Solana's success fundamentally depends on its reliability and crypto regulations, both of which should be addressed eventually. You should also know, by the way, that Sol is not the only crypto that could see a large correction in the medium term, and you can find out more about that in the description. And that is all for today's video, folks. So if you found it informative, smash that like button to let us know. If you want to stay informed about the top crypto projects, subscribe to the channel and ping that notification bell. And if you want to inform others about Solana, be sure to share this video with them. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. This is Guy, over and out.